So we're going to the AEW a review. We have Harry Ruiz here, who was an eyewitness in El Paso. Explain why you went to go see the show, Harry.
And he made TV too. I sent you guys that picture. Yeah.
What a mark. Yeah. That was like Kevin Gill Part 2. You standing up. What did your shirt say? Because you definitely had an AEW hat on. Please don't tell me it was that Scissor Me Daddy shirt, because I will walk to Vegas from here. Okay.
Yeah. No, it was a Forged in Combat shirt from the Blackpool Combat Club.
Okay. Do they even still exist?
Yeah. They wrestled on Rampage, and Brian wrestled on Dynamite. Yeah, no, dude. So, Disco, I used to live in El Paso. I was there for nearly 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I met you, Konnan, in Juarez. I used to cross the borders to go to the AAA shows and do interviews with Penta, Hijo del Fantasma, Phoenix, Aerostar.
So when you met me, were you a fan or a commentator?
I was there doing interviews. So I was there backstage.
Wait, for who?
For Univision. I used to work for Univision in El Paso, Univision.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
But you never interviewed me? Did you ever see me in the dressing room?
No, I saw you in the dressing room, but you would just like scoot by at the end of the show, and I stopped you once for a picture, and you were actually wearing a Clippers shirt.
Right.
But no, I didn't interview you. I didn't want to bother you. I was getting some of the underground guys and doing features on them.
Right. All right.
Yeah, and they were cool. So I used to live in El Paso.
Everybody knows, El Paso is one of the hottest crowds in America. Legit, bro. But go ahead.
I'll say this, Konnan. I'm a huge AEW mark. You guys know that. Right. And I didn't know how the El Paso crowd would react to AEW because they hadn't had TV in El Paso in nearly 20 years since they had a SmackDown taping out there. So, 20 years. Eddie Guerrero, he wrestled John Cena for the U.S. Championship.
That's weird. That's such a hot crowd and such a good place to do wrestling, man. Like, it has a history. They always do well. When we used to go with WCW, we used to sell it out. But go ahead. I didn't know that.
They've been working on this show with the Coliseum since 2019, but because of the pandemic, it kept getting postponed, and it finally got set for yesterday. Well, February 8th, and when they announced it, I booked my flights. I got a hotel room, got my rental car, bought my ticket right as it came out, and I just wanted to go and experience a show of this magnitude in El Paso. And dude, it didn't disappoint, man. I've been to 6 AEW shows now. Chicago, Vegas, El Paso. This has been the best by far.
Yeah, because they definitely have a fan base, right? Passion. Because everything that they were doing, the people understood, and it was over. The minute MJF came out, they were on his ass. But I just think one of the biggest errors, and this might have been no control. If they would have brought Pentagon and Phoenix out, but I think Phoenix has visa issues, but that you should have brought Penta out for a promo, because Penta told me he did a promo on Rampage or something like that, and the place went nuts. Were you there?
So, yeah. I was messaging with him yesterday. I think he had flight issues, and he didn't arrive to El Paso until like 3 o'clock. So He just came out after Dynamite and before Rampage and just did a promo for the crowd, and the crowd went nuts, dude. I mean, when they announced
Why didn't they do it during the show?
I guess that they wanted to use him, but with his travel issues, I think he got stuck in Houston, and he wasn't able to make it on time. So they were promoting them on every billboard, on every promotional item they had online, both him and Phoenix. And at the end of the day, they didn't use him. I don't want to sound I'm the biggest Penta fan out there. At the end of the day, the crowd, I mean, yes, we would have loved seeing him. The show was ridiculously awesome, and hopefully next time we'll see him. But that shows you the depth of the AEW roster, that they can do 4 hours of TV. Well, 1 hour of Dark, 2 of Dynamite, 1 of Rampage, and they didn't miss a beat yesterday.
How did they do it? By the way, how much content did they film before the show starts live on TBS?
Before the show, they recorded like 7 matches for Dark or 6 matches for Dark, and it's pretty much every match except one was AEW talent versus non-AEW talent, and you know who's going to win that match. But the cool thing is, because they're doing those matches, everybody in the house is going to get to see pretty much everybody in the AEW roster. The only 2 guys that come to my mind that didn't wrestle were 3 guys, actually: Darby Allin, Adam Page, and Pentagon. Besides that, everybody else wrestled yesterday.
Bandito didn't wrestle, or did he?
No, he didn't make the trip. He wasn't out here.
Okay.
All right, let's go over the show. And this show had some stuff I liked and obviously stuff I don't like, and I think the stuff I don't like about the show is and it's my criticism every week that then I think they need to change it up. It's like, bro, and WWE too. They're in this formula now where for some reason matches have to be long. 10, 12, 14, 15-minute matches, right? And to me, you can't show a metric that says, okay, that's leading to good numbers. I think it's leading to underwhelming numbers. Well, Joe, what was the number this week? They think they were down, right?
Let me get it for you.
Yeah, they were down. It was like 899. So they were down, but very small. They weren't, basically the exact same numbers last week, but down very slightly, right? But I just think.
Let me bust Joe's because this wouldn't be a show if I didn't. If we're talking about Dynamite, what were those numbers not ready?
899,000.
899,000. All right. Okay. Which was okay.
What was last week, Joe?
Like 905. All right.
Yeah, it says it was down. It's just down 0.2%.
Yeah, nothing. Okay, but I will say this: the formula was very, very clear. Last night, all the Dirt Sheet podcasters and the Mark podcasters, this was one of the best AEW in-ring Dynamites in a long time. I'm like, all right, that means it's probably not going to do very good in the ratings, and it didn't because, like, dude, it's like they're playing to their base. It's good to have good. These fans like good matches. MJF versus Takeshita was a decent match. I don't think this Takeshita guy is. This is how the show opened up. I don't. I mean, you like his work and stuff. Everything that's fine, but it's like I'm not into this guy like everybody else is, and I think this guy's got a kind of like their base likes him. He doesn't speak very good English. I haven't really seen him do a good promo. It's just but his work is kind of like everybody else's work these days, where he does a lot of thigh slapping. He does the forearm spot and everything. But MJF showed a lot of personality here. This was a good match, except until they did the thing at the end where MJF was getting heat on the guy and hit him with the ring. And I don't know what it is with AEW. Okay, but I tweeted this. And Konnan, how many times have I talked about this? And they did it again. They show the guy blading himself.
I didn't see this.
They showed the guy blading himself again. And they showed him blading himself, and they showed him handing the blade to the referee.
Yeah.
Okay? Bro, if you're going
There's
to
no
do
excuse for
if
that.
you're going to do the blood, you can't take away the aura of like the other guy caused the blood that you did it yourself. It's there's no.
Did you see that, Harry, or no?
I didn't notice it in the
You're
arena.
probably too far away.
No, but you shouldn't notice it. But the camera catches it every time. I don't know how these guys are catching this shot where it's like the guy's starting to do the.
Well, not just that. Why isn't the director of camera saying pull away, go to another shot?
I have no clue, but it's happening on a regular basis, and I'm wondering if
can't be on purpose, bro.
The people that it's not on purpose. It's just a mistake they keep making every week.
Yeah, that's a mistake that should never happen.
And you're going like, go to this. You're not going away from the shot,
bro. Did you see it last week, Harry, when this guy was in the corner? He was just going. I was like, "What are you doing, dude?"
Moxley.
Yeah, Moxley. They showed Moxley pulled.
That's like almost a magician going, "Hey." Before the show starts, you see him sticking the rabbit in the hat, and then he comes out and he pulls it out like it's a big surprise. All right, we saw you put it in there. You know what I'm saying?
Because the concept of blood is supposed to be of the culmination of a feud where these guys are in a blood feud and they're blooding each other. It's like not just a random match against Takeshita where you're showing the guy actually like cutting himself. It's like it completely defeats the purpose. This is why it should be a good reason going forward to just not even bother doing the blood anymore. If you're going to do blood and you're going to show the guy blading himself, it's like don't even bother. So I don't know.
But they just have blood every week, and so it doesn't mean anything anymore. Even though in the Bryan Danielson match, that was very dramatic, but we'll get to that.
Right.
So
you want me to say something?
Match,
so,
go ahead, Harry, what'd you think?
So the crowd was super hot for it. MJF got a lot of heat.
Right.
And the fans, they weren't into Takeshita at the beginning, but by the end, everybody was rooting for him, and everybody wanted him to beat MJF, and Takeshita got over with the crowd despite the defeat. So, Disco, it's Konosuke Takeshita, not Takeshita.
I like calling him
Takeshita or whatever, he's got heat with me, and he's lucky I wasn't in El Paso because when he went up and he did the Eddie Guerrero thing before the frog splash, you're not Mexican, dude.
Yeah, but he showed personality, though.
Yeah, I don't care.
I'll give the guy
I don't care.
The guy didn't have a lot of personality.
Maybe it was his favorite wrestler when he grew up.
Yeah,
and it got a pop. But it got a pop.
Yeah, stick to your nationality.
So
But,
Takeshita ended up posting that it was his dream to wrestle a match in El Paso. Why? I got no clue. And after that happened, that little tribute he did for Eddie, the first thing I did was turn over to the person to my left, and I was like, Takeshita was the last person I thought would be the one to do an Eddie spot in this show, because you got so many. You got Rush, you got Penta didn't wrestle, but you got more people. Vicky was there. I mean, I wasn't expecting a Japanese guy, despite him being great, Takeshita, to do the frog splash and do
now the
Eddie.
guy. Now MJF had incredible heat, right? He looks in incredible shape. Whatever he's on is, probably growth or whatever, but he looks great. I still am not on the Takeshita bandwagon. I probably because I think I heard so many great things about him that I was expecting something better. From Meltzer, and I was talking the other day to friend of the show and Disco Frenemy, the Invisible Hand himself, Lord Cyrus, and he was putting him over too. And
he's putting him over, bro. Not just put him over, saying he was a better athlete than Ric Flair.
Right, which maybe an athlete, not a worker.
Right.
Okay, so to me, it's like, bro, I see a lot of guys that do what Takeshita does. I think Bandito's better than him, and I don't hear all the about Bandito, and this isn't a racial thing either. Now the Eddie Guerrero thing, that's a racial thing.
Yeah. I support that though. So next is so they showed Joe doing a pretty good promo back from recapturing the TNT Championship. He's a good character right now. I'm into him, and I'm into him. I'm into Darby. I guess I can kind of get back into Wardlow, but Wardlow Wardlow is not. Just I want to say real quick. Wardlow is not at the spot he was before. His stock has dropped.
Let me ask you a question.
They need to get his stock back up.
As an AEW super fan who actually has a license plate that says something about AEW, right? What did it say?
What does your license plate say?
BTE for being the elite, and then I had to put something in the middle, and I put a number 1, and then I put AEW on it.
All right. So being an AEW super fan, what did you think of the curious booking decision to get a guy organically super over that you could have put against MJF and had a great feud, get beat in the middle clean, and then they actually clip his hair?
Yeah, with Wardlow, I was shocked with that. I mean, heck, I would have gone straight to Wardlow after MJF came back. That would have been the first feud I would have done.
We talked. I don't know if you heard it on the thing. We talked about it. It's like that's bro. If this was combat sports, you'd be looking like, oh well, who was the last guy that beat this guy decisively? He should be the number one contender, right?
Like Pereira with Izzy.
Right.
Here's a second question. See if you can answer this one as an AEW fan.
Sure.
What was the logic out of all the wrestlers that are in the dressing room and around the country, okay, having Chris Jericho go over on Action Andretti and a couple weeks later Sammy Guevara beating him clean?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense at all. Andretti, right. I mean, since losing that match, he's just been second fiddle to Ricky Starks. He didn't even appear in this show. I know he was out here in El Paso because I bumped into him at the airport earlier today in the morning. And I was like, so you got that win and the crowd was super hot in Dallas. And now what? You haven't built to anything. And even in the tag team match,
let me tell you, I was in Orlando last week and I went to the AEW tapings. And this kid was in a match in front of tourists. And when you're a star, you can get over in front of anybody.
Yep.
And it was 1,000%, nothing against him, not hating, just stating it was tumbleweeds with crickets on top with a continuous loop of the Get My Go show. It was super boring.
Damn, that bad?
It was that bad.
Oh.
Just kidding, JoJo. Just kidding, dude.
All right, so next was Jamie Hayter.
I think Harry watches Get My Go, actually. I could be wrong.
Next was Jamie Hayter against the Bunny. There was no doubt who's going to win this, but they had a clunky spot at the end where
where she landed on her head.
Yeah, she landed on her head and is like, I don't know if she's hurt or whatever, but but the right person went over.
And she's super over for a heel hater, but it looks like they're trying. Bro, does Britt Baker have to be in every segment that a female's involved in, or every other segment? Incredible.
She needs to stay off TV for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
She's not even she's like an annoying. It's like she's on so much. You're saying why is this girl all over the TV every single week? And Luchasaurus and Christian Cage have disappeared. It's like there's so many characters that are not on the show.
People
it's
can't miss you if you don't go away.
Right.
That's why when I leave, I've left AAA one time for 7 years, came back. People did not forget. left for another 4 years, came back. People did not forget. People don't forget, you know.
Let me ask you a question, Joe. Harry, do you think Britt is overexposed on the show?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do it a different way, but at the same time, right now, I got a feeling that they're trying to put Jamie on TV as much as possible, and you know that the turn is coming, or well, it should be coming. Britt turning on Jamie Hayter, and one thing that you guys probably haven't noticed, and I do because I'm a supermark. They're coming out of the babyface tunnel, so right now, Jamie, Britt, and Rebel, they're being booked as baby faces against the heels. And it's right now they're baby faces. And even though they've been associated as heels for pretty much their whole time. What did you think about the
match real quick?
It was a throwaway match. It was something real quick. It was something that, I mean, the best part of the match, I love Jamie Hayter. I got to see Jamie Hayter live. And then Penelope Ford was ringside, so I ain't going to complain about that.
Yeah, they put all the hot girls that they were actually smart.
Shout out to Rebel, too.
Right.
Let me ask you a side question real quick. Harry, I know you're a big AEW fan, but do you pay much attention to the WWE stuff?
Not at all. I haven't watched WWE in pretty much 3 years.
There's been there's a back and forth on the show whether or not the fan base is going to turn on Cody sooner rather than later, and I just didn't know if you had an opinion on that. But if you don't watch it, you know.
Cool. You're missing the Bloodline and Sami Zayn storyline, one of the best storylines in 10 years.
I know I am, and to be honest,
somebody send it to you, bro.
I've got a clip I can send him. But
I follow it through you guys.
Okay.
There's like an hour recap of all the vignettes and all the back.
Oh yeah, you don't even do it justice, bro. You have to watch this. This is great.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, I prefer watching, like, if Disco has a 1 hour video of just that, I'm cool. If I have to watch a 2 hour show to watch a 1 minute vignette and then 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah,
bro,
cool.
Then after this was a really lame segment.
Oh my God, this was one of the worst. This is one of the. This shouldn't have been on TV.
Right.
Because it was very poorly done and very lame. So Tony Storm and Saraya get an interview. They congratulated Jamie Hayter win, but said she's a loser like everyone else at AEW. And they invited Leva Bates over, and they just beat her up and sprayed an L on her stomach and her back. And Saraya said they weren't there to make friends; they were there to take over. And this was done so fast. It was like just I don't know this. What did you think of this? Did you see this live, Harry? They showed this on the screen live, right?
They showed it on the screen. They had
what was the fan reaction to this live?
Crickets, the same tumbleweed that Konnan was talking about, and Action Andretti were like, "What the heck are we watching?" They had the baby faces, Britt, Jamie, and Rebel, on the top of the ramp watching the video with everybody else, and they're like, "What the hell?" They're putting their hands up and everything, and we're all like, "Yeah, let's go on to the next thing."
Wait. So Britt live. So they're in the stage watching this, and even they were selling it.
They were going like, "Yeah." It was.
Because, bro, this is one of the. This should not have been on TV. Like I said, this is one of their more poorly.
That was so amateurish.
Yeah.
And here's the main part: Leva Bates, who super cool chick. Every time I go to AEW, she actually hooks me up nice. And I know she's like a fan favorite because she comes out on the BT show. Bro, she's never on Dynamite. You're supposed to get sympathy on somebody people care about, not a nobody that's never on TV. They don't give a. And then it was just done so amateurishly. It's like, really, dude?
Last time they were on TV, it was when she was a librarian with Peter Avalon, and it's been years since then. Now she's like a backstage assistant, production, whatever it is. She's not on TV ever.
Right.
All right. So next was so then they go to the locker room with MJF, and Lexi Nair so he wore bloody tape in his hands for beating up Takeshita. Is that my word? Is Takeshita? Takeshita, okay?
Like, take the I out, Takeshita.
Right, Takeshita, okay? Well, of course you have to take the I out because then it sounds profane.
Take a sheeta.
Right. So MJF addressed Takeshita and said he was good but not good enough. So he put the kid over, and then said that nobody's on his level right now. And he told us MJF does this and he gets good viral heat, but I did not get where this promo fit in this angle.
Well, that he was. Let me tell you what he said.
Yeah. Let me tell you what he said. He told a story about high school about getting speeding tickets and picking up women. He explained that he picked up a girl and she got busy while he was driving. And he managed to hydroplane and hit a telephone pole.
Bro, he even did the thing with his tongue in his mouth, like sucking cock. Yeah.
His girl, Liv, cracked her head on the windshield. And he switched seats with her so he wouldn't be the one driving when the cops showed up.
Right.
Okay, there's obviously a reference to Liv Morgan, who lives in New Jersey, and they all know each other and stuff. Like they grew up in the business together. And actually, one of the cocktail waitresses at our club is best friends with Liv Morgan, I found out a few weeks ago. And Liv Morgan is coming to Vegas in April, and she's going to bring her into the club. So MJF said nobody cares in life how you get the job done as long as you're a winner. And Danielson will never be a winner because he'd never even get a shot at MJF. And he called himself a scumbag and said he was proud of it, which was actually a great line. But, bro, MJF is doing a good job of whatever happens on this show, he's saying something that people are just going to be talking about that doesn't really have a lot to do with the show, but it keeps his name in everything. It's like this stuff was like the stuff people were talking about after the show, not the actual show. What did you think about this?
In the arena, it was the complete opposite of the Tony Storm Saraya segment. Right. Everybody was paying attention. Everybody was going crazy for when he did the hand gesture and his mouth and everything. It went nuts, and they went from booing to at the end. It's like, hey, we hate this guy, but we recognize that this is like talent right there that we're watching, and he's the guy that's making this show interesting.
Right. What do you think, Konnan?
I thought it was a great promo, great delivery, great intensity, and a very funny story. He's awesome.
He is really good.
And did you see the photo on Twitter? He posted a photo of him in high school on the Camaro.
Oh, really? He's great.
He knows how to stay relevant, or not just relevant. He knows how to come across like the star in the show. So Ricky Starks against the Jericho Appreciation Society. And I thought this was a foregone conclusion of how this was going to end, where he was going to run the gauntlet and win. But he beat Parker, he beat Menard, he lost to Daniel Garcia because Jericho came out dressed in a lucha mask and him with the Jude effect. So they screwed him over in the gauntlet match, which I have always said, bro, they never do this booking. It's like when the babyface accepts this match, you're like, oh god, that's stupid for accepting this. But he wins, which is just very obvious. I kind of like this finish because I absolutely did not expect him to lose this match. And Daniel Garcia went over, and in the big picture of like booking wise, it kind of makes Ricky look stupid for accepting this and losing, which should like happen, which it did, but never happens, and they didn't expect it. So this was actually a pretty decent finish for me. What do the fans think of this at the finish?
Yeah, no, we were all shocked. I mean, the moment that we saw somebody hit Ricky Starks, we looked over. It was like, Jericho. Of course it's going to be Jericho. And they got the pin. And I liked also the psychology when they said, all right, you're going to go against 2.0, and then you're going to go against either Guevara or Garcia. So they both came out instead of just one of them coming out, and one went to one side of the ring, the other one went to the other side of the ring, and it ended up being Garcia for the match. And Garcia had heat, but Sammy, he has nuclear heat.
So Sammy's a huge heel there, right?
People hate him.
And not only that, bro, I could see him in ringside egging people on, like getting on top of the ring, the barrier around the ring, and really pushing it. Yeah,
that's what they need to do. Is Sammy and Ricky need to have like a good 4 to 6 week program with just the two of them. Like he's got the faction and everything, but it needs to be a personal issue between those two and do some storytelling because they're like, like you said.
Yeah, the problem is everybody's part of a faction and they always got to come out with them or hang around ringside or do a run-in,
Yeah, but they need just by you saying that they should put Sammy because Ricky's an over babyface.
I would love that. Would be a great program, Sammy versus Ricky.
Right. So next,
Harry, real quick, Di, as a hardcore AEW fan with the little. And I don't know how much accuracy there is to them, but the rumors going around that Punk is going to return maybe next month, maybe around the pay-per-view. Do you care? Do you want to see him back? Do you not want to see him back?
Good question.
I mean, if you had me ask if Punk could come back, if it means that the Elite stays, I'd be 100% on board. If you have me choose either Punk or the Elite, I would go with the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking as a CM Punk mark that I loved him from his WWE days, that I was super happy that he came over to AEW. Right now, with all the drama, I prefer having the Elite over Punk. But if I could have both, I could only imagine great things coming if they get their stuff together in the locker room.
I agree with everything you said, Harry.
Because there was something about that where I used to watch pretty much every week, and I was into it. And then when the Punk press conference thing happened and he was hurting back out and they didn't address it, I don't know. It just I haven't really been as into it since. Not at all. I don't know what it was about that.
The one thing we've kind of as the numbers have come in on a weekly basis, we looking like, bro, like Harry, do you agree? Like it looked like Punk had around, give or take, if you around 100,000 fans.
Yeah,
that really came to the show just for him. And now that he's not on the show, they kind of left. It's like, and then it's worth it. That's that's 10% of your audience. They should bring him back. But I don't know if they think there's a spot for him to bring him back now because maybe they want to push MJF as a heel, and if Punk comes in, he's better as a heel. And I don't know. It's like, but the show could absolutely. So backstage, he claimed get interviewed. They're accompanied by Billy Gunn. They agree that Gunn should stay in the back for this match so they could do their business himself. Bowens was a little bit bummed about it, and they scissored Gunn. Let me ask you a question, Harry. Okay, did you scissor with anybody next to you at the show
or the hotel room?
At the Coliseum, yes, and I got my Acclaim stickers there too on my.
No.
Wait, so you scissored a fan sitting next to you?
Yeah.
Let's mute him. Joe, put his mic on mute for like.
How long is the punishment for?
Oh my God! Nah, we won't punish him, but we'll have to suspend him for a week from the show. So backstage, this was this is just corny to me, but which you didn't need this because of what happened in the match, right? But backstage, Renee Paquette interviewed Bryan Danielson in the trainer's office when a commotion was heard outside the door, and Bryan tried to open the door but was blocked from the outside. Then Roosh made his entrance, and the announcing mentioned they heard Jose's voice on the outside of the door. Then MJF music hits, and he walked to the ring in his sweats, and he was limping from the match earlier and selling his right knee. And MJF told referee Aubrey that Bryan was scheduled for the match, but he wasn't there, and the crowd chanted something. What do they chant in Spanish? Culero? What does that mean? Oh, okay.
So I would like to say something first. So before the show started, they had Jose the assistant cut a promo with Roosh by his side, berating all the Mexicans, all the people from El Paso and everything. They got a lot of heat. Like when Roosh came out, the fans went crazy. We were all happy. We were all chanting for Roosh.
Why is Roosh getting booed if he's a Mexican? So they had already prepped the people up.
Right.
And so we would
not have known this if we didn't have our correspondent here, Harry Ruiz.
Right. But here's where mistake number one. So they locked the door, and that's supposed to stop this guy from kicking it down, which is what he actually did, a very flimsy door at that, and getting into the ring instead of, blocking the door with a barricade or something. So already, I was like, this guy's going to kick the door down and beat the count. That's exactly what he did. But go ahead.
All right. So this was. I
Who is Preston Vance, by the way?
It's one of the guys from the Dark Order. 10.
Yeah, he's a monster factory.
Bro, let me tell you, and I got nothing against Jose because he's a cool guy, but Preston Vance and Jose, they're like, and I think I said this the other day, they're like garnish. Like, when they bring your food and they put like a piece of parsley on the steak or watercress leaves, you're like, what the, and you move it out of the way and then you get into your meal. Like, it serves no purpose. They're just like a decoration, But go ahead.
Well, I'm a big AEW guy. I can do without Jose the assistant. I could do right now without Preston Vance. I could do without Alex Abrahantes. They got like so much, like you said, people around people that you're like, you don't need them.
Right.
All right. So this match, this is, Bryan Danielson's getting lucky because they're just, maybe he's got creative freedom where he gets to wrestle who he wants, but Rush is really good. And I think Rush is a guy that should be pushed because his offense looks different level than most of the guys in the show because he's bringing it, okay? There was a spot here that maybe kind of, but Danielson got a gusher for blood, which would have been great if Takshita didn't bleed. Like this would have meant more, obviously, but they already had blood the first thing. I was a little bit – I got worried about Danielson, okay, because he's got concussion history, right? And I'm just sitting there thinking the spot where, like, Danielson hit him and Roosh slapped him back very hard in the face, like power slap, and it kind of dropped Bryan Danielson, and I didn't even know if he was working or not. And I was thinking that may have rung his bell. And Bryan Danielson doesn't need his bell rung these days because he's had like a lot of concussion history. But it kind of, with the blood and like that and everything, it kind of brought me into kind of like this match, kind of like the way when Darby wrestles. It's like when Darby wrestles, like we talked about in the show last week, he's kind of an attraction because you're in an emotional spot during the match because you're watching, you're like, I think this guy could get hurt in this match because of the way he works. You know what I'm saying? And it's very compelling to watch, and it's an attraction. Bryan Danielson kind of gives you the same vibe when he wrestles because bro, for a guy with concussion history, his age, he's very physical. Takes a lot of big bumps and it's like a lot of stiff offense and stuff. And I'm just, I don't know. So then,
if I may,
go ahead.
The crowd for this match was incredible. I'm pretty sure it was heard on TV when they were going back and forth, instead of doing yes, no, they were doing C, no, C. No, it was awesome. Right. The whole match, the crowd was amazing. And Konnan, I'll ask you this. Rush, last time I spoke with him was back in 2019 when he was with Ring of Honor. I don't know how much his English has advanced, but I mean, he had matches against Moxley pretty much right after he came into AEW, and he killed it. He had this match against Daniel Bryan. Is there a lot of communication that goes back and forth between these two guys, between him, Rush, and his opponents? Because I'm like, if he's not bilingual,
I bet you Jose's translating. His English is all right, but it's not good enough to cut like long promos. That's why.
Let me tell you the problem with this, and this is real quick before you finish, Conan. So after the match, MJF comes down and gets heat after. So the whole thing here was MJF getting heat on everybody, blooding everybody, right? So, but I will say this, bro. It's like I'm not invested in Bryan Danielson like wrestling these guys like week after week after week. When I'm watching the match. And I'm like watching the work. I'm watching Rich like, bro, this could have been 4 months worth of television with all four of these guys he's wrestled the past 4 weeks, where you build it up for 2 to 3 weeks and then they have the match. They're just like throwing these guys out there for a match. And it's like this match delivered and could have done a number if it had been built more. You know what I'm saying? Like on a weekly basis, make people more interested in it. That's my only criticism of this. It's like I'm tired of watching Bryan Danielson wrestle matches where I know he's going to win because it's part of an angle, but if this match would have been like a 3 or 4 week angle where there were some stakes involved, something else, there could have been doubt as who would win this match, because Rush's work, bro, he's one of the top 5 guys in that company. Just on the way he strikes alone, because he looks like a guy that like you don't want to mess with. Like if you stiff him in the ring, he's gonna stiff you back, and like the type of guy that like come to the back, he want to fight you. That's what this guy's work looks like. Would you agree with that, Konnan?
Well, you got to know, Rouge comes from the CMLL, which there's a lot of potatoing over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you really got to earn your way to a top spot.
It's a stiff company, right? Like people
right. And he did. And so that's why Los Ingobernables, the Ungovernables, that was a shoot name. Him, La Máscara, who's the other guy? And Sombra. Oh, no, that's the Japanese faction. So those 3, they were given that name because they couldn't be controlled. They were rebellious. They didn't give a f. That was like a shoot name. And they were just fighting everybody until they got to the top. And that's the way Arena Mexico's been, even when I was there. You had to fight guys to get respect. And so he comes from that atmosphere where AAA is we used to be like that, but I won't allow that in the dressing room. You're very laid back. If some guy picks up, we pull him aside, we talk to him. And if he doesn't learn, then we drag him a little bit on TV, but you're not beat up to the lengths that they do in the other company. So Rush will bring it. And Rush is in our main event on Saturday. We got a show at an army base.
Who's he working?
Who's
he wrestling?
Los Dinamitas, who's our trios champion, and they're good. So it's a trio. And Rush, to me, and I've been saying it for a while, is the best heel in Mexico, and he's proving it, in AEW. He's the goods. He looks good. He works the crowd. He looks like a heel. He acts like a heel.
His English isn't that good, but you can understand what he's saying.
Right.
You're right. But so yeah, I like him, and I like
this was a very good match. I like this match a lot.
Yeah. So next was I fast forwarded this because it's just. This is the Young Buck, the Kenny. It's a trios match against AR Fox and Top Flight, where I knew that the finish is never in doubt. It's just going to be a bunch of. This wasn't really built up that much. It was just like I said, bro. I don't get the deal with like them featuring the 6-man, where all you're doing is 1-minute promos in the back to set up the matches for next week, like they do for Rampage, just to go out and have these spot fests. I fast forward it to the end. Kenny Omega wins with the crucifix. They go over. Let me ask you this: like compared to other guys on the show, how would you rank the pops for the characters on this show from the top 5 from best to worst, Harry?
The Elite, number 1.
Uh-huh.
Undisputed. The Elite were on top. Number 2, the Acclaimed. Number 3, the right kind of pop that you want for a heel with the boos and shattered cheers, MJF. Number 4, Jamie Hayter. She was actually very over with the crowd when she came out. And Daniel Bryan, number 5. And if you let me include Rampage, I'll say the Blackpool Combat Club. They got a very big reaction.
How about the Soraya Leva Bates angle? Nothing.
Tumbleweeds. The Tumbleweeds angle.
Oh, speaking of tumbleweeds, Lexi Nair interviewed.
By the way, I like this match because it's a lot of lucha.
Dude.
I know. It's not my cup of tea.
I know it isn't.
Right.
But how do the fans react?
So the fans reacted. They loved it. And then
it's lucha, right?
Yeah. And then you could actually see that they were excited to get to see Kenny Omega because he had never wrestled in El Paso. I'm pretty sure the Young Bucks had gone to Juarez a lot of years ago, so they had been in the area. But in El Paso, in that area, nobody had ever been able to see Kenny Omega in person if they hadn't traveled elsewhere. So they were excited about that. Top Flight, they were over as well. And I'll give a shout out to AR Fox. Konnan, I know you remember him from other promotions. I started to follow him with.
He froze. He'll be right back.
Froze here.
Yeah.
You know what we should do?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Joe, this is what you should do for this.
Mm-hmm.
While he's frozen, you should edit in the sound clips of him doing Raiders football commentary. All right, let's well, we don't know how long it's gonna be back. So basically, speaking of crickets, okay. So Lexi Nair interviews Stokely Hathaway, and he complained that everything going wrong with his crew was Hook's fault. Hardy, Cassidy, and Paige all have losses because of him, and Hardy is asking for a raise. Hook walked up and bent his arm and told him to be careful with his words. What'd you think of this segment, Konnan?
First of all, I couldn't understand what Hook said. It felt like he wasn't mic'd right. This happened so fast, and it didn't resonate, bro. It's just another bad backstage vignette.
Yeah.
Feels rushed.
It's like honestly, like there were 2 vignettes that were rushed that looked amateurish on the show. This one and the one with the Tony Storm and Soraya, right?
Right.
And it's like, dude.
And we see that a lot.
Right. And it's like, I'm looking here. Did the trios titles match need 15 minutes as opposed to 14? Where you could have made the
it's almost
like
they have
right?
they have 4 segments on every show for a 30-second promo. And that's all you get, bro. You can't get it over in 30 seconds.
Yeah, but it's like a 30-second promo that's supposed to be a minute, but you got to fit into a 30-second window, and they try to rush it. That's what they look like, right? So next was Harry's back. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What were you saying about AR Fox, Harry? That's where you got cut off. You're muted, bud.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, by the way.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
AR Fox, he absolutely killed it in this match. He was great. He's an amazing talent, but the thing is, he's just that. They're not putting him into vignettes. They're not giving him mic time. They're not
a wrestler making right.
Yeah, but he's a guy. But then you look at him in the match, and I had friends at the end. It's like, dude, who was that guy? I'm like, I told you, the 2 younger guys, they're brothers, Top Flight, and the other guy, AR Fox. They just signed him recently. He's incredible, and that was just like the perfect mix of trios to just put on a banger of a match out there.
What is the crowd reaction Stokely Hathaway when they see him on the screen?
So he got heat. He was out there for Rampage in the main event as a manager, and he did get heat. So at least there was that, but he wasn't ignored. That's for sure.
All right, so this is actually, it's not weird, and I don't know if it's good or bad. All right, but the Acclaim wrestled the Guns. These are all 4 guys that are still kind of green because they're young, and they're in a main event spot for a tag team championship match. So it was like you could tell there was some.
Let me just say before you finish,
miscommunication.
The main event should have been Roosh and Bryan Danielson. But
with all that blood for sure, right? Yeah, especially the heat. So basically, Austin went to ringside and grabbed the tag team championship belt from the timekeeper's table, attempted to hit Bowens, but Billy Gunn got in the way. And Colton then smashed Billy with the other belt from behind, and Bowens landed the arrival. And Caster landed a mic drop on Austin in the ring, but the referee could not get back into the match to count the pin. Caster went to get the referee, but got sent into the barricade by Colton. Bowens attempted to make another cover on Austin, but he got shoved into the ropes where Colton blasted him with the tag team championship belt. Then Austin rolled him up for a 3 count. Bro, I think the reaction is good heat because they could not believe that the Guns won, and they don't like the Guns and they love the Acclaim. But this was a very awkward finish to the show because the crowd was just kind of
stunned
silence, So, and then they just booed for a minute and then started chanting. Like they're literally not happy that they put these guys over. And me and Konnan are fans of the Guns because I think they've got great personality.
Oh yeah,
they look good. Harry, what was the vibe in the arena for this?
No, obviously the Acclaim, they're the most popular tag team right now in AEW, and they got so I know that you guys don't like the scissoring and all that and the chanting.
Their audience likes
what
it, so
they do.
Whatever. Yeah.
But it's like I remember you saying once, it's like you got to find something that the fans can do that they're going to copy you, they're going to mimic you, that they're going to do in the stands. That's something. And you got little kids scissoring other people and enjoying it. So I'm like, hey, if it works for them, it works for them.
I agree. I just won't do it. Right, yeah. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, they're super over, and we were shocked. We didn't expect this. I actually expected Billy Gunn to turn on the Acclaimed when he came out, when he was putting Anthony Bowens up and Austin had the titles, and it didn't happen. But then the title change happened. I'll say this. I noticed this. I don't know if it was my brain playing a game on me, but I was right straight at the hard cam. Right next to the hard cam, they have a clock. And the clock was like winding down to the final minute of the show. And then they went to the finish. And then the Guns went out of the ring with the titles. And I was like, all right, the show is over. And then, no, it turned out that there was still like 2 minutes.
Right.
And
very awkward, just standing in the ring. And
So I think there was something messed up there with the timing because
they probably went home early.
Because maybe the fans thought that's like, holy shit, and then there's awkward thing. Maybe they thought there was supposed to be something coming next with Billy Gunn, and then they were like, that's it? And it's like kind of like a thing like, wait a second, it's kind of like an awkward finish. We kind of resonated for a minute. They're like, okay, there must be an angle coming here because we're taking more time, but nothing happened. Then it's like, it's very weird, right? It's kind of right.
That's how I ended up on TV because I was standing up yelling that.
A lot of empty live time.
Yeah.
And they even put the Acclaim theme music at the end. And it's like, wait, they just lost the titles. Why do you put their music on?
Bro, we talk about it all the time. There's a lot of awkward outs. Like the way the segments end or the show ends. This was an awkward end of the show, So
exactly, but I'll say this:
they should have the cameras on the Guns, celebrating, gloating, hugging, flicking off the crowd. Give them heat to go for the show, but it's like it's kind of like awkward heat. So
Konnan, this will pop you. There was a guy like 3 rows behind me that unfortunately it happened during a commercial break, but I got the AEW Plus subscription, so I was able to hear it on. I was there in person, heard it on that as well. There was a fan that translated "ass boys" to Spanish. So they started with a niños culos chant, and it got super over with the crowd. And Austin's like, "No hablo español," and it was very, very funny. The crowd, I was shocked that they were so into the product, that they were knowledgeable.
Well, like you said, they haven't had wrestling in 20 years. Okay. They're watching it on TV every week, and they're just waiting for them to show up. And the people went to have a good time, which was what you should do when you go to a wrestling match.
And I've been to plenty of WWE shows, and I've been to shows with 10,000, 12,000 fans, and where I'm one of the only person in my section wanting to do a chant or wanting to stand up and cheer during entrances. And I'm like, that's boring when you're the only one. But even if it's like a small venue with 4,200 fans, if everybody's engaged, it makes the show better. And I think that's
plus
one
Mexicans
of the positives.
love their chants,
Oh, yeah.
We ain't afraid.
So they sold 4,200 tickets, and they're going back. That's for sure. I heard that they're super happy with El Paso and that they're going to go back to
El Paso's a great market. I can't believe they waited 20 years to go there.